everyone.
Hi,
My name is M9.
and I'm Nixie, and this
And this is Out of Character. My favorite part of all that is when I say "and this," because I just love that voice. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to what I believe is episode 16 of Out of Character, the show where we try to dive deep into anything that's roleplay, especially today.
Yeah, considering our topic, which anyway, we speak to players, server owners, modders, and we talk about the topics that are important to our community.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
Yeah, and today's topic is going to be a little interesting because a lot of you guys that aren't familiar with some of the different aspects of role playing are going to be educated today, like myself, because I'm not very familiar with this. We are going to be talking about forum role play.
Sorry.
And Nixie is a specialist in this.
Specialist. I did forum roleplay before I touched voice roleplay. And apparently in our community that makes me a nerd, which is interesting because to my other friends, me playing video games makes me a nerd. So on both sides of that spectrum, I am a nerd.
You're just like nerd times nerd. You're nerd squared.
I am nerd squared, yes. I am definitely. I'm learning as I get older the like depths of how nerdy I have been and have always been.
Yeah. It's funny because there's so many things that I am casually nerdy about. Like, I consider myself a nerd because there's so many things I'm nerdy about, but I'm not super nerdy about one thing. And there's sometimes like you or other people in our community that made me think like, am I a fake nerd?
Fake nerd. I'm just nerdy about lots of things is the problem.
Yeah.
And every time something new gets brought to people's attention of something that I'm interested in, I realize that it gets deeper. But forum roleplay is one of those things that I started when I was 12. Like, this was early 2000s internet. This was, the kids my age were listening to Backstreet Boys, and the internet was still getting started, really. It was such a growth spurt of what was going on.
What year did you say? I'm sorry.
I was 12. So
I don't know if you want to expose that to the interwebs.
Yeah, hold on. I gotta do the math. Give me a second. It is. How old am I?
But I mean, you said Backstreet Boys. That kind of dates things.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Because what I was doing instead was singing Backstreet Boys songs to girls. At that time, it was like the boy band craze. So I had to get in on that. So I learned a lot of NSYNC and Backstreet Boys songs because the girls loved it.
So we're talking 2005.
2005? No, that is not.
That was when I started forum roleplay, though. It was 2005 when I was 12 years old.
Oh my god. I'm so much older than
I was in middle school. 2005, I was 12. I'm 30 this last September. So it's been a little while. If you want, just to save people from doing the math, I just turned 30. But when I started, it was actually my dad who got me into it.
Interesting.
Because my dad was a nerd in the sense of someone who found out computers exist around the time you could bring them into your home because they got small enough to do so.
Yeah.
So he was the kind of nerd with the pocket protector and the push-up glasses. Like, we're talking mega nerd back when nerds weren't cool. And
right.
He had built computers in his basement. And so he was super deep into when the internet was developing and starting to get connected. And I mean, we're talking like hacker groups were huge,
Yeah.
So he knew about computers a lot at the time. And so when I turned 12 and was starting to really show signs of liking certain things, specifically, I liked reading and I liked writing and I liked my computer because I had a laptop at a really young age. It was one of those ones that have the little eraser mouses in the middle of the keyboard.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I used that for the longest time. So he saw that and he was like, he started looking into stuff that I could get into and found a Harry Potter forum roleplay site
Oh
and said,
boy.
well, Emily, I think they'd like this. And I was like, cool. What is this? I don't know. And this forum roleplay site was one of the very first ones that you literally had to wait until September to apply your character, and they forced you to start at 11 years old. Which was fine for me because I was 12, so there wasn't that much of an age difference.
Right,
But
right.
nowadays, that would feel a little weird. You don't really see that in forum roleplay anymore. But at the time, you literally had to wait to even apply to get accepted. So I definitely started kind of early writing character posts. And yeah, when you start forum roleplay, it's not quite like voice RP where you get into the community and you're kind of around the community.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go to another server, you're probably going to see people from other servers you're on. In those days, you might have one person who you knew, or you just saw an ad because ads were huge for forum roleplay because you could do multiple at the same time.
Right.
There was no time constraint because all it took was, sitting down and writing the post. You could be on 50 different forum websites as long as you kept them straight in your head.
Yeah. But that's a lot of reading though.
Oh yeah, no, it was a ton of reading, and that was one of my favorite parts. Is it made me appreciate other people's level of writing. It was collaborative, so I
Yeah.
wasn't just writing on my own. I was writing with people. I was part of communities, and I skipped around a lot to start with. Though I mostly stuck with Harry Potter, which, as if you look at our chat, Gemma the Simmer is someone who is part of the resurgence that I'm experiencing on one of my favorite roleplay sites I was on growing up. This one
Yeah.
I was on in about 2009. So I was about 16 years old when I joined Potter's Army. And it was a Harry Potter forum website. And I was a teenager. So you can imagine the kind of stories we made on this thing.
So okay, so give us a too long didn't read version of like what type of role play did you get into?
Too long didn't read really, really fucked up shit.
Really? Like did you all play
Okay,
students or did you play adults or
you
what?
could do either. You could
Hmm.
use whatever you rolled in as. I had multiple characters on the same website. So my main character was named Chase or Chastity. Uh, and I actually named her off of a real life friend of mine whose name was Chastity and she went by Chase. So
Nice.
I just loved the way that sounded at the time. So I actually stole that for my character. Um, but basically, she went through hell, and I still play her in voice RP to this day. Um, I continued her story after I ended it on forum roleplay. But it's always fun to tell people, what I'm telling you right now has all been roleplayed out. It started in 2009.
Yeah, that's
But
crazy.
essentially what forum roleplay is, and there's different types of text-based roleplay. There's types that I don't know anything about, which would mostly be like email threads, which I know a friend of mine used to do when she was a kid, where you literally emailed groups and everybody got the email and it was all like threaded out. um then there were like text chat, like AOL. If anyone remembers AOL,
Yeah.
you could role play in AOL. Nowadays, yeah, I think it'd mostly be like Discord role play, paper post or whatever.
Yep.
Which I don't know, there's something that's not enough structure in Discord roleplay for me. I just find it a little too loosey goosey
How does it
because the
differ?
forum RP I did is, you know, when you go onto a website that has like threads that you click into,
Yes, 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 yes.
it has like the forums where it's not Reddit forums. They're forums that are like, here's the title of the forum, you click on that, and it gives you a bunch of threads within that forum, and
Right.
you click on the thread, and it's between multiple people there. And that's how we structure it. It's on a forum where the different forums, like the different categories, are named different things for, say, each level of Hogwarts, classrooms, the grounds, and then you can have outside of Hogwarts, so Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley, and within those there's subcategories, but you post a thread in those between multiple people, and that's where the story happens.
Hmm. I see. Yeah, I
So,
try to do I try to do you're talking about the Discord you know, play per post or whatever the hell it's called. I could not get into it. Because it
Discord is
was
so
D&D.
difficult.
If it was like just kind of like story building, I think it might be a little different, but
I'm gonna
waiting
have to show
for
you PA so you
yeah,
can
because
kind
like
of.
waiting for like an admin, waiting for a DM, and then waiting for people to do roles, and then waiting for actions and certain things. It's for me, it was like a hurry up and wait type of thing,
So
and
I've
I hated it.
noticed it's such a big thing with the voice RP community is the wait between posts.
Hmm.
And that is definitely something that when I first changed over to voice RP, I started to fall out of forum RP because it's so much faster when you're just
Hmm.
talking. But there is a nuance to forums, and I sent you a link to my website so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This is the website that I've been role playing on, just so you can kind of be, but it's definitely different when it comes to speed because we're talking slower than Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
And Red Dead Redemption is slow as fuck. So, but this is just slow in a different way because it's not. You don't have to sit there and wait. You go do other stuff. You go take care of your life. You take care of your kids. You make dinner. You play a video game. I go role play in another server. Like I go role play on Conan. And then when I get a reply, I go, "Ooh, cool!" And I go and I take my time to address that. I reply, and then I wait for them to reply back. So it kind of fits into lifestyles a little bit
Yeah, that makes sense. I think one of the bad things, and maybe I don't know if bad's the right word, but one of the stressful things about voice RP is the fear of missing out, the FOMO, and
more.
the fact that it takes a lot of time from
Yes.
for you to be up to date with everything. For you,
You can't play multiple servers.
oh
You
no,
can't.
server juggling is
People
impossible.
try. They can do like two at a time. But if I wanted to, I could go find another website right now and go roleplay on that and barely feel like I have had a time difference. Because
Yeah,
all it is making a new thread. It'd be the same if I made a thread on Potter's Army again.
yeah.
Um,
I think um and Gemma in chat says it's good for different time zones. That actually makes a lot of sense, to be honest.
mm,
Um, you
yeah,
don't really have
it's
to worry
great.
about, you know, hey, what time are we meeting? Is this EST or
Yeah,
what?
no, you just make the post and then they reply when they have time, and
Yeah,
then you reply when you have time. Is that 12 hours apart? Probably, but
right. I think there's something kind of to be said about for creative minds that are trying to work on writing. You know, for me, I am a voice over talent, and I think for me, RPing in voice is kind of where I'm at because it lets me practice my art. But also, I do love writing, and I think that that's where something like this would be attractive to me. And it's like to kind of practice on honing in that type of art, like working on your writing making it immersive and
Hey,
things like that.
hey, hey, Gemma and Rainbow Nerds, we're about to make a convert. You want to join Potter's Army? I'll teach you how to do it. Oh, so
Yeah.
the basic, okay, but starting at the very basics though, is you make a character. Rainbow Nerd says that they have 4 characters on just one site.
Mm-hmm.
You can have as many as you want. Some sites have restrictions, so it doesn't get too out of hand.
Right.
Some sites, like the ones I've roleplayed on, don't have any. You just do whatever the fuck you want. I have 2 right now. Technically 3, but I don't really roleplay one. But you know, you start off, you make your character just like you do on Voice RP. What are they like? What's their background? What makes them tick? You know, there's all of these different things that the same process that goes through making your character in Voice RP,
Right.
you just write it down so that you can see it. And there's like templates you can follow to be like, okay, this is my character. Here's what they look like. Here's what they act like. And here's their history. And you can then show people that so they can get an idea of what character you play and how they can fit their characters with yours. In Voice RP, it's a lot more vague. You go,
Yeah.
I have a character in my head, but now I have to tell everybody about it in voice by acting it out.
Yeah,
In
I
this
can.
case, it's a lot more laid out in front of you.
There's also a lot of, and I'm imagining, theater of the mind type of thing, and because while people are describing things in text and in prompts or whatever, it's not the same as being immersed in an environment in a video game that you can actually see everything.
It's like reading a book.
It's like reading a book,
exactly
yeah.
like reading a book. The way you create the environment in your mind is exactly how you do it when you're doing forum roleplay.
Right.
So, and I mean, you're always going to run into varying levels of writing ability with your RP partners. So sometimes it's a little bit more simple, less details to the surroundings. Sometimes people go full bore deep into what their character is thinking. And you're like, I can't respond to any of that, but I'll respond to what you said.
Because it was a thought, yeah. No thought RP,
So,
guys.
yeah, no, that's exactly what forum RP is. It's a lot of thought RP.
Oh, God.
Because a lot of the story happens in your character's head. The
Right.
difference is that it does happen in voice RP. Thought RP happens all the time, but it's happening only in your head. And the only way anybody knows what's happening in your head is if you say it out loud.
Right.
In forum RP, you can read it, but you still can't respond to it.
You can't
because
use
it doesn't
it,
say
yeah.
it. But it's
So-
nice to know what's happening in their head.
So tell me something, for like somebody like me that doesn't know anything about this type of stuff. How many people are usually involved, and how do you know when to like break things up, and if you're having your own conversation, or is in one thread, can you have like multiple conversations going, or how does it work if it's more people?
So, okay, most of the time, and I will say this is like, I'd probably say about 85% of the time, it's going to be between 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have 2 people talking, one after another. That is the most common that you're going to get because it's the easiest. Like you said, you don't have to worry about when do I post, But then on top of that, you get the like what Rainbow Nerd said, 2 to 4, which when that happens, you kind of fall into like who goes what, and then you keep to that pattern so that you're not, unless there's
Right,
a big
like
reason not to keep to that pattern.
Like a post order type of thing.
Yeah, you get into and you kind of set that up as you go. So I'm in a couple threads with 3-4 people at a time right now as well. But the more common is going to be between you and one other person.
Yeah.
So it's mostly you just kind of have to. If there's a problem, you can always talk to each other at a character. There's chat.
Take a shot
on the side, and yeah, there's like a chat box on the side where you can talk. We have
cool.
the Discord now for the site I'm on, so we can talk over there if there's a problem. But most of the time you kind of just fall into it. You can kind of get an idea of who's it's okay to post next based on what the last person posted.
Yeah.
I was in a post out like yesterday, or I'm still in a post, where the person I was role playing with played two different characters in the same thread. So they just posted both of their characters in one post.
Hmm.
Um, but you can also get like there are event posts that happen where you can get everyone on the server into or the
Oh
site
boy.
into a single thread, and those are the ones that get kind of confusing because then you
Yeah,
have multiple strains of conversation happening.
I'm imagining how it happens in voice RP where everyone is talking over everyone. And I hate big group events in voice RP, but sometimes, the story calls for such events.
Yeah,
But
we've had multiple battles, which could be crazy.
oh, I can imagine.
Sometimes what it or like a Yule Ball will happen.
How do you handle battles? What?
It kind of
Is there a rolling
depends.
system or no?
Sometimes it depends on the site.
I see.
Yeah, sometimes you break off into smaller groups after the big start thread, like when everyone starts in one thread, and as you get into like specific conversations with people, you'll split off into your own thread off of that one, so that it's a little bit more personal. And anybody, usually those ones, anybody can join. So if you can read every single event thread that's happening, and you can put your character in there if it says open, because there's like a tag under the title
Gotcha,
that
gotcha.
says only for this person, or this is an open thread, anybody can join, or this person and it's open. So if somebody else wants to join and they like what they see, they can jump in if they want to as
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a question because I know you. How much anxiety do you get from making your post perfect? And how long do you go over it? Because I think we touched upon this at some point in one of our previous episodes where in voice RP, it's instantaneous. You have to react in real time. In forum or text RP, you can take a second to think about what you're writing. Now, for you, does that put more pressure on what you say or
You know, it's funny, but I have a very similar mentality to voice RP and text RP in that I write what I know my character is going to say, and I will glance over it for any big spelling mistakes and send it. Like, it's
Hmm.
almost as quick as talking for me. Because I know what my character's going to say. I might have to go reread the post that I'm responding to because there's something very interesting about forum RP flow in posts
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in that sometimes you can carry on multiple conversations or multiple threads of a conversation with the same person in a single post. So you'll be talking about one thing at the first paragraph. The second paragraph is a continuation of a different line of thought that happened in this. It's very interesting flow, and I'm kind of trying to limit that as I've gotten older because it's hard to follow the conversation rereading it. But yeah, like Gemma said, for once you have a form where you're comfortable, it's not so anxiety inducing. But if you're new to the site, it's easy to second guess. Yeah, it is. When you start a new site, you get the same fear as starting a new voice RP site server,
Oh yeah, there's
where
always
you're like,
that.
I don't know anybody. I have to
Hmm.
make myself look good. I have to make sure people know that I'm okay. Um, you've got I'm paying attention to chat. um, you have to make sure like in voice RP, it's more of a like anxiety because you don't know
Oh, there's
anybody.
stage
Who am I going
fright
to
for
talk to?
sure.
Stage fright, yeah. And when you start a new forum RP site, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You're going through that. I got to make sure my post is perfect so people think I'm okay at writing. But now that I mean, like Rainbow Nerds and Gemma's been talking about, we all know each other. We role played when we were 16 together. These are people I knew when I was a teenager.
Yeah, but you know how I
Now that
can
I've researched, we're just like, fuck it, let's post.
you know how I can tell that you're like forum writers, the
They actually type
punctuation
sentences.
is
Yeah.
punctuation is on
The
point.
amount
It
of
makes me so
periods in
happy.
your
Yeah.
chat right now is like, and I'm not seeing it this many.
No. Nope. People usually just kind of blurt out thoughts, and now here there's like commas and periods, and it's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. These are all writers. They've been writing for a really
Mhm.
long time. They're both great too. I'm so happy to see them in chat. I'm in threads with both of them on the site right now. Um, and like they said, Rainbow Nerds started on same site in 2013. Gemma was 2007. Yeah, and I told them about that I was going to talk about forum roleplay, and they're like,
No,
"Let me
do you
go
know
see
what?
what's going on."
It's great because the point of the show and the community that we're trying to build around OOC is we want to delve into all sorts of role play, whether that's like you guys forum, whether it's voice or tabletop, and because there's so many different aspects of it, and some of us might only be exposed to one of many, and I think that that's
Yeah,
kind of what
and
we're trying
I
to do.
come in and I'm like, "Hey guys, guess what? This whole other aspect of roleplay exists."
Yeah, no, and it's awesome. And who knows, maybe some of you guys with the forum RP might want to give voice RP a shot.
I'm trying. I'm trying so hard to get them because, oh, can we talk about the big announcement just
Yeah,
real fast halfway through the episode?
halfway through the episode, let's drop it like a commercial.
Okay, so big announcement, guys. For those of you who don't know, M9 and I have just released that we are going to be admins on a new Conan server called Nerd Haven RP. If that isn't fitting, I don't know what fucking is.
Yep. And so
So,
this is something that we got a small group of friends to do. My friend John Aaron kind of just proposed the idea, and I was like, hell yes. Even though I've been taking some time off of RP, and I just couldn't not do it. And then obviously when he was like, "Would you think Nixie?" and I'm like, "Oh hell yes, let's." I'm gonna ask.
and M9 asked me, and I went, "Are you fucking kidding me? Of course I would do that." Also, Gemma, when it comes to time zones, where's John from again?
He's from the Czech Republic.
He's from the Czech. I knew he was over there, but we have lots of people in EU
Jess
time
is
zones on this.
Australian.
Jess is
Yeah,
Australian.
we have a
There's
lot of
people
Europe.
from all over on this site, server specifically. We have had we he basically wanted to make sure there was an admin for every major time zone.
Yeah. I think, but
But
to kind of go over the server, we're doing it.
yes,
We're playing on Conan, because right now it just kind of feels like the best game to RP in,
yes.
and we're doing Lord of the Rings, which we personally haven't seen being done on Conan. It's been done on
It
Arc
was
a
on
lot.
Arc a
Yeah.
lot. There's a lot of Arc servers, but so far Conan has really shied away from themes, we felt like. So we wanted to
Hmm.
do a server that focused on themes.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the important thing, right? Nix is like we've Conan servers have kind of defaulted recently to, hey, everybody just make a character and do whatever the hell you want. And one of the things that I loved about the roleplay in Arc was there was always a theme to it, and we
yeah,
always
Game
had
of
to,
Thrones, Lord of the
yeah.
Rings, or they made up their own thing. I had a server that was literally King Arthur based. It was there's all these things on Arc, and then Conan, you get in and you have two different types of vampires talking to each other, both of them using different lore.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, no, and then if it's like a Greek god themed season, there's still like demons running around and all this
yeah,
sorts of stuff, and it's like why is
there's
there?
no adherence to the server
So that's
story.
something that we want to do different and bring from our Arc experience, and not just that, we are also trying to focus heavily on RP. So grinding is not gonna really be a thing.
Basically a minimum. Like there's
Yeah.
gonna be some gathering, but honestly, the basic Conan grind doesn't exist.
Exactly. And for the thing that we are focusing on the server story for you to like gather and collect, it's actually going to serve the story itself. So you're not just doing it to do it.
Yeah.
Um, but we're excited about it. It is kind of like a homebrew type of Lord of the Rings, kind of Elseworld
AU, guys,
alternate.
it's AU.
Yeah.
Well, Potter's Army's AU. It fits very well. This is Lord of the Rings AU, but that's only for season 1.
Hmm.
Now, the way that it's set up is the seasons are short. 30 to 45 days is what we're aiming for.
Right.
But there's a story that is you can influence yourselves, and because that's something we've noticed a lot in voice RP, and I think we've talked about it on the
We
podcast
have
as well,
in previous episodes. Yeah.
about
No consequences.
story not having consequences. This is gonna have consequences.
Hmm.
So anyway, it's called Nerd Haven RP, guys. It's gonna be something that we hope is different. We're gonna try out new things, and if we don't succeed, we're gonna try and change it and fix it. I think the big main thing we try to get across is that we don't know it's gonna work out great.
Exactly.
And if it doesn't work, then we'll fix it. We won't be upset. Um, we're not claiming we know how to make the best Conan server,
Yeah, I
but
think
we want to make a good one for roleplay.
yeah, and so we're super excited about it. If you want an invite on the OOC Discord, we did post it in there. As
It's on
well
the
as
Conan section.
we have a whole directory of servers, roleplay servers, not just Conan but other games. So even if you don't want
That
to
I
check
keep
out
adding
our
to
server,
if
yeah,
people send them to me. If you have a server that you want on that directory, you can either open a ticket or DM me. It's on the Discord. I try to post as much as I can to keep those up to date. Um, because we want it to be a hub. We want it to be a place you can find servers if you want. And so, even though yes, we are admins on a server now, we're still going to be promoting the other servers
right. Yeah, we're not going to be
to
doing that type of thing where we're like, talking down on other servers or like, hey guys, don't play on that one, play on ours. That's not what OOC is about. Like OOC is exactly what we've decided to do as a community for all role playing. And even though our server will be listed on there, we're not going to shy away from also putting others and other games as well. So,
and talking to guests who play on other servers.
right,
I think the big thing that we've decided about our server specifically is if our server doesn't, or Nerd Haven isn't good for you, that is perfectly fine. It's not going to be good for everybody. You can go to the OOC Discord and look at all the other servers we have
right,
posted because those might be great for you. Which
different flavor for everyone.
actually bringing it back around to forum RP
Hmm.
because this is something huge with the forum RP community that differs from the voice RP community, and that is advertising other sites. Now, on the site that I've gone back to, Potter's Army, I used to moderate so that I could do advertising. And there were so many ways to try and get your site out there. You could go to forums, and every other forum had an advertising section. There were directories you could go to where you could submit your site's information into the directory, and they would post it, and you'd have to bump it every month or
Oh,
every week. But it was like there was a ton of sharing of sites among the forum RP community. And that's actually where I found PA. I just recently found this out because I reread my character app for my first character. The head on it, how did you find us? And on there, I had put where I found PA, which was, I found it on a directory. They had posted to a directory, and I looked at it and saw the site, and I liked it, and I made a character. Now, that's kind
that's
of
pretty
what
cool.
OOC is,
Right.
what we're trying to do. Is be a place that you can go and look at for other voice RP. But, if people are interested in Forum RP, I mean, I can link you to those directories that still exist.
Right.
It's because those directories are so important, and that's what OOC I feel like can be for voice RP, is helping bring the communities together, share who's where and what, and it's fun. Like, because I used to have so much fun advertising for PA.
I can
I
imagine.
was I was the advertiser. I went around to all these sites and posted our link and updated our directory. Gemma did it too. Um,
Okay, so throwing some more questions at you. I think you may have lagged out a little bit
oops,
there.
sorry.
Um, Throwing some more questions at you because there is something that I want to know, and it's something that I had a big issue with when I was doing a play-by-post type of thing, and it's I I had a really hard time with making the time to read, and maybe that's just a me thing, but there were so many times that I just kind of wanted to skim through it and or like ask people, can you give me a too long didn't read version
Oh
of
my
this?
god.
Because sometimes I'll go in the Discord and there will be 60 posts and I'm like, I'm not reading all this.
Okay, so that is a huge difference by Discord play per post and forum RP. I am not and never will be completely caught up on every thread on the forum RP site. I never, and if I want to read something, I can, but the only ones I need to read are ones that I am in.
Yeah.
And that is a huge part of it. You read the threads you're in, and if you're interested in maybe glancing through what somebody else is doing or stuff like, you can, it's there, you can read it, but for the most part you keep to your own shit. And like, we have places to talk about gossip, and we have places to talk out of character, to take a drink, um for what's happening with our characters. So if you want to reference that or start threads with people because your character did something that might pertain to theirs, you can do that. You can talk to each other. But I don't read every second of the day. I don't read every post that's on that site. I read the
Yeah.
ones that I'm involved in, and you can control how many you join, because I don't need to be involved in all of them. I shouldn't be involved. If I'm involved in all of them, there's something wrong.
Right. But I guess it makes sense with what you said, right? Like it's 1 to 2 people or sometimes 2 to 4 and
Yeah.
you're all kind of following an order of talking and things like that. I guess like when you have a bit of a routine or kind of rule set around things that people are just kind of aware of, I can see that working a lot better than me
Yeah.
opening up a Discord channel and all of a sudden something
Having to
like
skim through all that sounds horrible.
yeah, like like 2 people had like a whole ass conversation and then they're like, right, Jace? And I'm like, what?
I wasn't involved in this. Yeah. No, and that is the difference between play proposed on Discord, which is why a big reason why I could never do Discord roleplay like that. Because it's so differently structured.
Yeah.
Some people like it. Some people not like being a part of every conversation and being involved with everything. And I apologize for the weird noises. Merlin's playing with the toy.
That's okay.
He's chewing on things, but beside me.
Plus, I said this before, my voice is all I have going for me, so I
I know it's not. See, that's the thing about Forum RP though, is that it helps you gain better reading and writing comprehension.
No, I think I would be into it. I'm not sure, like, Nixie, don't try to convince me to do it
I'm gonna try and give it some guys.
because
come
I'm
roleplay
not
with
sure if
me?
I have the time.
You
But
don't okay, here's the thing about time and Forum RP.
here she
though.
goes, guys. Here she goes.
Here's the thing about time and Forum RP though, is all you need is time to do what your thread is in. And my character, I usually keep 2 to 3 paragraphs. So it's quick to read and quick to respond to. And you try to keep it flowing so that there's something happening. But you only need to put in as much time as you have. We have parents on the server site. We have people who are doctors on the site who have basically no time, but they're there. Like, they're incredible. Like, I can never do that. I just do it for fun because I have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, time-wise, it fits into literally while you're eating dinner. Like,
I
and
don't
you
know, man.
add on as much as you want.
I'll think about it. I'll think
I'm gonna
about
try.
it.
I'm gonna try, guys, because I think you would enjoy it because it's a different type of role play.
Yeah, I mean, I do
It's a
enjoy writing.
completely different style, and it really helps you develop good writing skills.
Yeah,
And that's something that I'm using it to help me with.
yeah. Hopefully, you're working on that story.
I am. I haven't really written it yet, but part of it is you get practice and you read how other people write to learn from them.
Hmm.
So when you see a really good writer and you're like, damn, that is like, how did they do that? You start posting with them, you start reading
Yeah,
more of
and you
their
can start
stuff.
picking things up. I think that goes for any kind of role play, right? Like when you kind of respect somebody's style or mannerisms or whatever, you're like, I should probably put a little bit
Like,
of that flavor into my role play.
there are names that I can say right now that Gemma and Rainbow Nerds would be like, oh yeah, like like Ellie. Sorry,
I like how you both said that at the same time.
Ellie. Yes, Ellie. Red was incredible. Like there's so many names that I could say that just Cat's amazing too.
Yeah, so that's cool. So I'm glad that we decided to talk about this today because it's something that I really wanted to learn more about. And it, this is like not related, but also kind of related just because it was a forum thing. You sent me that website, and as soon as I opened it, the first thing I remember, or like that it like clicked back, it was like a time machine. I used to do this is
Oh
kind of embarrassing, but also funny. I used to do like rap battles. I used to
rap
be
battles.
be in a forum where we would like write out music or like like a rap verse and kind of like diss people or or write songs, and somebody else would kind of like respond to with like a different perspective on the song and stuff like that. And as soon as I opened the link and I saw, the forum kind of layout, I was like, oh my God, that just kind of took me way back to that when I was like 11 or 12.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's exactly the type of layout it is. And you can click on any of them and see what people have been doing or keep to your own stuff. We have like thread trackers and plot trackers so you can make friends and
So
oh, I would like to roleplay with this character.
while we're at it, while we're in the topic, because I unless we can bring somebody in to be a guest, like
I'm
I'm pretty
trying to
sure that
I
we
have a couple people there who said that they were interested,
good,
just not
good.
today.
Because I know
Because I
that like
really would love to talk to them about it.
this is the type of thing that we probably won't talk about a lot unless we are able to bring more people in. Just like tabletop, we don't really touch up on that a lot, but I
Yeah.
really want to. So while we're in the topic, give me a couple of just do's and don'ts to forum, and you guys in the chat can chime in as well. For somebody that is going to be starting, what are some tips and tricks and like some do's and don'ts?
So the big one I would say, and the first one that comes to my mind is that when you do Farm RP, it's third person past tense,
Okay.
which I have learned now that I'm older how to keep to third person past tense. I still have issues with it. It shifts, and I'm learning how to fix that because that's something that's always bothered me about my own writing. But yeah, third person past tense. So you say your character name, action in the past, but if they're talking, it's in present.
Yeah,
Because
that's interesting.
so it is a little different in how it sounds. So it sounds like a book is being written because I mean you can have first person books, but a lot of books tend to be third person past tense.
I realize that
Um,
every story or anything that I write is first person.
and that's completely viable as
And
a
it's
thing.
because I'm a role player.
Yeah. Okay. So Gemma, okay, be careful to only control. There's power gaming in
Oh,
forum
I can
roleplay. We
imagine.
call it god moding.
We talked about that a little bit.
We did. I forgot that we actually called it God mode or God mod, or it's you don't power game, and it's really easy to want to because you want to keep the conversation flowing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's just like with voice RP, you attempt to do things,
Oh, ask
or you
permission.
ask permission first.
I think we also
Um,
hinted at the possibility of metagaming because everything is being read, so you have to kind of keep the
which is
things
a
that
big
your
reason why
character
you
would.
want to read your own
Mm-hmm.
threats and not read so many of the things you're not involved in. So you're not trying to pull in stuff with metagaming, basically, of what other people are up to.
Yeah, because I mean, I accidentally metagame sometimes in voice RP. I can only imagine with me like learning something by reading and forgetting that my character doesn't know that. Like oof.
Yeah. Joining new thread, Gemma gave a good one. If you're joining a new site, read a few threads to get an idea of what it's like. Joining a new site is an interview for both sides, because what you're doing when you join a new site is, do I like the way these people write? Do I like the story? Or do I? Because every site is different, just like every server is different.
Mhm.
But they're also judging you on how well you're writing, and you're gonna get a bunch of threads depending on how well you're doing or
Grammarly
not
people.
doing. Oh my god, Grammarly is a godsend now that I'm
And
older.
that's a good segue to talk about our sponsor. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god, I wish. Can we get? I use Grammarly so much now,
I would love to be
and
sponsored by Grammarly. Let's be honest.
because Grammarly is something that I use back in the day didn't exist. I was reading old threads from my character that I when I was roleplay back in like 2010, and I was seeing, you know me, I see typos. I see typos really easily. I was seeing like, oh, this is such a good thread, and I typoed in the title. Like,
Yeah, oof.
it's just like all these. There was no like, there was basic spell check. Um,
Mm.
yeah, Grammarly's godsend. But let's see. Read a few threads, see what it's like. Read the rules. Every site's got rules, just like servers, and a lot of them are similar, but some of them have dramatic changes in Forum RP. The rules can be make or break when
See,
you're
I'm
joining a
learning so
site,
much. I didn't know any of this stuff.
because like when I was looking for new sites, the first thing I did was read their rules, because sometimes it was like I would read the rules and go, I'm not joining the site. These rules suck, because they had so many. Like, it wasn't like forum RP or server voice RP, because voice RP servers all tend to have very similar rule sets.
Very similar.
You might be like, okay, maybe I don't like that one, but I'll give it a try anyway. With forum RP sites, they really adhere to their rules, and sometimes their rules can be so dramatically changed and different from each other that it's like, I'm not joining that site. I would turn down sites based on their visual appearance, though, to be honest. So, well,
Okay. I have another
yeah.
question, and again, this goes out to everybody in class. you can.
As you see, I brought my people. They're helping me out here.
No, it's great. It's great. My question is, do you have any kind of difficulty getting into character or staying in character by you because of the fact that you're actually just typing, like you're kind of an author sitting behind a desk, as opposed to when you are role playing, you have to be the person, right? Like your voice has to convince me that you're acting. Is there any kind of difficulty for you, Nixie, and for anybody in chat being your character behind a
So,
keyboard?
funnily enough, this actually stems back. My answer is going to stem back to when I was in theater as well. And this is just me. I know this is very different for lots of people. But for me specifically, the second I am in the spotlight, I'm in character. The second I could be talking to my friends off stage, I could be giggling, I could be watching whatever. The second I'm on stage in the spotlight, be that in the forum post, be that on stage, be that in roleplay on voice RP, I'm in character.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same for forum RP for me. I write it up, and the second I'm writing, it's just how my character is. You can you keep to your character. You know what your character's like, especially in forum RP. It's actually easier for me because you type their thoughts. There's no
Yeah.
ifs, ands, or buts about what's going on in their brain. Like in voice RP, you don't know what your character's thinking sometimes. Why did they act that way? In forum RP, I spelled it out why they're acting that way.
And Gemma says something interesting, which kind of raises another question for me. Um, she says, "I find it easier in text. I can project my character into text. I can imagine my characters in my head. I'm an awful actor, and this is what I want to ask in reality, and I don't know if I could do it convincingly. Do you think that text RP is something that you could more easily get into than voice RP because of that? Because you might be intimidated by stage fright or the acting part of it, because
Yes.
we are acting at the end of the day. Some
Yes.
people aren't. Let's be fucking
Yeah,
honest.
I mean, let's be fair. Yeah, no, some
but
people don't real act at all, but
but yeah, what do you think?
I think that the transition between forum RP and voice RP is a lot harder
Yeah.
because some people like it's a lot harder to say things out loud
Mhm.
and be your character out loud. There's a reason I don't tend to play evil characters out loud in voice RP, and that's but I can very easily play evil characters in forum RP. There, Nearby Buttons immediately calls me out. Yes, Felix. Felix was a character I played in forum RP who was just straight evil, and I could play him pretty easily. I would never be able to play Felix
I
in
get
voice
that.
RP.
I get that because you and I have had conversations about how there's no fucking way I can play a child. I even if I wanted to,
Yeah,
I don't think I can pull it off because of my voice and just the way that I am. But I can probably type out a child,
yeah,
you know.
no, yeah, exactly. I can play dudes in forum RP.
Mhm.
I can never play a dude in voice RP because I have a high pitched voice and I don't know how guys think in the moment. When I'm playing in a forum RP, I can
Guys think?
think
Is
about
that
it.
something
Yeah,
we do?
exactly. But I could think about what they were thinking in a much more concise, easy to read way
Yeah.
that I could then stop, look at it, and go, I don't think they would actually say that, and erase it. So there's a lot more
Mhm.
thought that can go into stuff like that. So the transition between it is a different role play when you're doing farm RP versus voice RP.
Yeah, I can tell just by listening and reading what you guys have been saying, and I could see that divide and that difficulty level from one to the other, and I can see why some people might be turned off from one or the other. But I think it's kind of interesting, though, not just the things that sets them separately, but also the things that kind of they have in similarities.
Mm.
And I think it's pretty cool.
Now, I will say the opposite is true as well, though, because voice RPers tend to want their RP now. It's very
Hmm.
quick.
Hmm.
It's very everything is happening, and it has to happen right at the tip of my fingers. The story is happening it all at once, and if you weren't there for it, you missed it.
Well,
You
that's
know.
kind of the thing, right? You said text RP or forum RP. You're allowed to have a life outside of that and the world, because one thing that I've always said to people is, um, outside of roleplay, outside of our characters, the world is still going. So
Mm.
when we log off or we turn off our computers, we go into this world, and then it's the very opposite thing still counts, as in the world in RP is still going, whether
Yes.
you're in it or not. And there's such a huge divide on, like I said, FOMO, right? It's like you're out for a couple of days or you want to go on vacation or whatever, you're missing an entire fucking storyline, or your character might just become like irrelevant at that point.
Completely irrelevant, yeah. But in Forum RP, that's never gonna happen.
Right.
You can miss server events because you took a break,
Mm-hmm.
but you can always jump back in and be like, "Oh, sorry, yeah, they were doing this at that time," and you suddenly have a reason for where your character was. Or you can go back in time. Like, we have threads that are set in the future for our characters. We have no set time periods. Um, Yeah, we missed years. We roleplayed when we were 16 on this site, say
Oh my.
15 to 20, basically. And we jumped in last week as though nothing changed. We kept going with the characters. We changed up a little bit how our characters, like, ages, and some of us, like, reset our characters, so, stuff like that. But we haven't roleplayed for, like, 15 years with each other.
Yeah.
And yet
That's
last week, 2 weeks ago, we all got on a Discord and decided, you know what, let's try this again. And we did it. And
that's
we're
kind of
role
awesome.
playing.
Yeah.
And I've been giddy because it's been so
oh,
cool.
I know.
Getting to
I
talk
know.
with Gemma and Rainbow Nerds. We've got Darren and people coming out of the woodwork who we haven't talked to in so long.
Yeah, she's
And
been
these are
nerding
people
out a
from my
lot.
childhood. These are my kids. This is like growing up, all of a sudden nostalgia bomb.
Mm.
And it's been so cool. And I've just been so excited to try it again. And it's been fun to see the different styles of roleplay and how it's changed.
Yeah.
Because
And I'm sure that the fact that you're older and more mature and you're
reading some of my threads going, holy shit,
Yeah,
what was I thinking?
I think that you're the fact that you've grown up probably changes all kind of aspects of
yeah.
your role playing now, and I think that would be kind of interesting to see.
And some of it's just it's been fun, and it's been so cool to get a chance to talk to people who
Yeah.
I feel like I grew up with, and all of a sudden we're back again, and we're adults now, and we talk about what we do as our hobbies and how our lives have changed and where we went,
That's pretty awesome.
and it's been so cool. So that's why today I was like, I can talk about forum roleplay because it is a different form. It's something
Yeah.
that's kind of dying. The forum RP community is a smaller one than it used to be. It used to be the biggest thing out there that nobody knew about.
Yeah, but with technology, everything changes, right?
And nowadays you have so many different sites that
Eventually,
are
we'll all be role
technologically
playing in
advanced.
virtual reality.
I hope
So
so. That'd be fun.
that would be amazing. But anyway,
But you're always gonna get people who are not wanting to do that. But
of course. But last point that I wanted to make was I can see how, and I think you may have hinted at this, I can see how the, like, being able to go back and looking at some of your posts and things like that, because they are now a little time capsule that you can go back to and re-experience. For voice RP, everything is so now and real time that unless you're streaming or recording and making videos and things like that, that's something that's going to be forgotten for the most part. You know, sometimes you go back and look at screenshots and you're like, oh damn, you know, it was awesome being a vampire.
I
you
wish
know,
I had
like,
taken more screenshots back then.
right, exactly. But
I found a thread tracker for my character that let me reread every major point in my character's
That's cool.
story from the moment I made her until the end of her story. And it was so cool. I had a problem reading my own posts because everyone cringes at their own shit.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially with a lot of time gone by.
Yeah, there's a lot of threads that I was like, what the fuck was this? But it's been really cool to go back, like you said, it's like a time capsule. Being able to reopen it examine all of this crazy stuff that I used to get into and remind myself of where I started
Yeah, that's
and how I
amazing.
got to where we are now, which is making an out of character podcast.
Yeah, that is amazing. Now,
Which I guess I could segue into all of our fun things because I feel like
yeah,
I could go on forever, but um, we don't want to go more than an hour, and it's been a little over an hour now. So
yeah. I mean, I guess once we edit the intro out, it won't be. But
yeah,
the guys, like we mentioned earlier, we do have our OOC Discord where there's a huge directory of roleplay servers. So that's kind of been a really cool experience to be able to provide that for people. And I'm constantly getting DMs and messages saying, like this is awesome. I'm glad that somebody finally did this. And it's been fun. And like Nixie said earlier, we do want to be a hub for role playing, and we're not just going to be promoting our own server, Nerd Haven RP, but we're going to be promoting others that people, recommend and are actively playing on. So come check us out on the
let
Discord.
me grab. Hold on, we'll get us into chat here. Um, our link tree. Oh, you already did it. Okay, you're awesome. I forgot that you had that thing. So we have a link tree. This goes up on podcast things on Friday. And I will say the Discord's been a little quiet the last couple weeks because we have been focusing on trying to get
Yeah.
Nerd Haven up and running, um, and doing a lot of stuff like that. So expect it to get a little bit more once now that Nerd Haven is going to start up. I feel like now we're going to be able to pivot again back towards getting stuff looking awesome on
Yeah, but if there's
OOC.
any kind of cool websites you want to share for Forum RP, go ahead and put that in the others category, and get that going.
I will ask if they're okay with me posting the Potter's Army link
Hmm.
because I know some people, it's another form of advertising. It's a very different set of people,
Yeah,
so
I can imagine.
it'll be interesting. But yeah, we try to get the podcast out on Fridays. Check out our Twitter. We do post there when we're going live here, and we have the Discord as well to talk to other people and learn about other roleplay sites. Which I swear, guys, I will get tips and tricks out. Just been focusing on Nerd Haven.
Yeah, we're
I really am
slowly working on
working
that.
on getting some stuff. We're getting there. It's just a lot to try and process through. Um, it's one of those things.
Yeah, we have to
But
be overstimulated, I suppose. Like that's
we're
the thing.
busy, guys.
But we if you can't catch the episodes live like you're listening to us now, we're on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Music, on Amazon and all the other things you can find all the
And if you
links
have one that
on
we're not
Linktree.
on, let us know.
Mhm.
So, because I actually got told one the other day that we're gonna try and get ourselves onto.
Right.
I can't remember what it was called, but we're getting more and more. If you have guest ideas or topic ideas,
Yes,
we have
always looking for
stuff on the
guests.
Discord. We are always looking for guests. We have stuff on the Discord for who you can shout out to say, "Hey, I'd love to see them on the podcast." So go
Yeah.
jump over there and take a look. So, but thank you.
But thank you guys for hanging out. And this was very informative. I felt like I was asking so many questions. I'm like that annoying kid in class where the teacher's
Oh
just like, shut
no,
up,
no!
bro.
I'm glad you're interested. It's so exciting.
But yeah, I was so curious and I had so many questions. But that was the thing. Yeah, Gemma, Pocket Casts. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for participating. You guys gave us a lot of good answers and questions. And I think it was really cool. So I appreciate you guys hanging out.
Have a great night, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye. Till next time.
Bye.